Oh, it's you again. Hey, how's it going? Well, I didn't expect to see you here, but since you've dropped by, how about we do a video about the 16 personalities? But this week, you know what? We're gonna get a little bit dark. We're gonna talk about the dark sides of each of the 16 personalities. Don't let this sunny window fool you, okay? We're talking about darkness. Now you might say, Frank, last week you put out a video called The Strengths of each of the 16 personalities. Why this week aren't you just calling it the weaknesses? Because I think when you say this is the weakness of this type, yes, that is accurate, but I think it can also give you the idea that, oh yeah, that's just a weakness, that's something I'm bad at, so I'll just have to avoid that as much as I can. But here's the thing, when you avoid this thing that you are weak at, it actually causes a lot of darkness in your life. It causes you fear, it causes you anxiety and pain, and it will cause recurring problems over and over again in your life. And if you go into that darkness and you conquer it, that weakness, that dark side of your personality will no longer cause you such anxiety and pain. First up, we'll talk about the extroverted thinkers, the ESTJ and ENTJ. And look, you should watch the video I did about what are the strengths of each of the 16 personalities, because I talk about like what extroverted thinking is, what these types are doing all the time without even realizing it. And the thing is, because they're doing that, because they're doing extroverted thinking, what's logical, what just works, how can we get to the goal we want, they are suppressing the introverted feeling. What they are feeling emotionally, what they like, what they think is good, what matters to them, and they feel like they are not allowed to make decisions based on that introverted feeling. Note, it's not that they don't have introverted feeling, they don't have emotions, no, they got them. But they feel like they're not allowed to. They have to do the extroverted thinking. That's what they are responsible to do, and so they're like, okay, I'm responsible to do this, so let me just swallow the introverted feeling. Let me just suppress the emotion. But like I said, it's still there, and so they will have these times where occasionally they bring out a bit of that introverted feeling, right? They'll be like, oh, this is what matters to me, this is what I want to do based on the feeling I have, and if they meet any resistance to it, if anyone is like, oh, why? Like, even if it's just like an innocent question, they will freak out, they will shut down, they do not like it. And I think because of that, they will also accidentally a lot of times take things personally when they feel that that introverted feeling is getting beaten up on. Like they have to protect that with their extroverted thinking. And extroverted thinking a lot of times is just kind of blunt, can even be a little bit mean because it doesn't care about people's feelings, it's just trying to get to a solution, right? But the introverted feeling is like, but this is what matters to me. What they need to do is learn to embrace that introverted feeling and learn to be okay with putting what they think matters first, even if there's no logical backup for it. Now we move on to the ESFJ and ENFJ, and they are similar to the ENTJ and ESTJ, except what they are suppressing is introverted thinking. That is where the freaking darkness is coming from with these two types. And introverted thinking is about, what do I think is correct? What do I think is true for me? What's gonna work for me? What is my understanding of this thing? Every day, all day, these two types, ESFJ and ENFJ, are just making sure they understand everyone else's emotions and feelings. That's where they thrive. How are you feeling? How are you feeling? How can I understand how you feel, and we can all feel better together? And so they're so outward focused, and they're ignoring this inner compass about what is true for me. Like I'm dancing around trying to make everyone else happy, but at the end of the day, this isn't working for me personally. But you know, whatever, I'll just keep that down, make sure everyone else is feeling good. Similarly to the last two types, ENFJ and ESFJ have this thing where if they bring out some kind of logical opinion, they're like, what if we did this? What if we did this way? This is how this could work. If that gets picked at by anybody else, they will shut down and be like, I am so dumb. These two types are especially susceptible to feeling like they are the stupidest person in the room because they are trying to suppress that introverted thinking. I think they logically know I'm not stupid, but because they are so focused on the emotions of everyone else and feel like they can't stand up for what they think is correct, what they think is logical. They're not allowed to go there. It makes them feel like, oh yeah, you're right, that was stupid. Let me just back off of that and make sure that you're happy about this. And the darkness with these two types, if they just keep doing that over and over and they're just like looking outward at what's gonna make everyone else happy, one day they're gonna wake up and be like, this doesn't work for me anymore. All of you idiots, I've been taking care of you bumbos. I think I was trying to say dummy and Dumbo at the same time, and I almost said bimbo. While we're here, let's stop momentarily and see if YouTube would like to show a commercial. Thanks for sitting through that, and if you're enjoying this video, hit the thumbs up button or do a backflip out the window. Next, let's move on to the ESTP and ESFP, the extroverted sensing types, who are really good at just taking in life as it comes. They're all about looking at the real world kind of unfiltered. They're not trying to like organize it or necessarily put it in any kind of order. It's just like, here's what's in front of me. This is the way the world is. And it's always about new. Let me get this new experience. Let me go to this new thing. All the EPs really, that's what their problem is. It's always about the new next thing. But extroverted sensors in particular, it's about the real world, actual new thing, new experience. But what they are suppressing here is introverted intuition. And what happens when you are suppressing that, the darkness that comes from that is you kind of don't understand why things are happening. Like you see all of the things going on around you in the real world, but it can like scare you. I don't understand the pattern behind it. Because intuition is about recognizing the patterns, right? And so when you have introverted intuition as your inferior function, you are not paying attention to the patterns, or you devalue the pattern to a degree where you're not really paying attention to it. You're just looking at every fact as it is, as it comes to you, and then that can also surprise you when the pattern should be easy to see sometimes. It's like, oh no, I didn't see that coming, oh crap. There's like a fear of the future in many ways. And because of that fear of the future, I think these types try to not think about the future. So that can be a problem. Obviously, because if you're not thinking about what's coming around the bend, what am I going to do? And you're just constantly living around what's happening now and trying to just go from thing to thing, you could just end up being aimless. Likewise, I think these types can have some problems creating meaning for themselves in their life, because introverted intuition is where meaning a lot of times comes from. I mean, intuition is looking at the meaning beneath things. And so when you are suppressing that, it's like, I'm not looking too far beneath the surface of what everything means, and that when it comes to your own life, that's tough. All right, then with the ENTP and ENFP, the extroverted intuitive types, they likewise like to keep moving around, looking at the new, but they are looking at the meanings. They are looking at the patterns and the concepts. They like to just find new ideas, that are new abstract ideas. These are all the connections between things, and they are suppressing the introverted sensing, which is getting all the facts in order, looking at the real world, and then for themselves, getting it lined up, getting it squared away, putting things away where they need to go. Like in a simple way, it's just like making your bed. As you can imagine, this is a major issue because, I mean, just in the one hand, it's like, oh, crap is getting thrown everywhere. I'm not figuring out, where do I put my toilet paper? Or I don't know why I came up with that example. But for an ENFP and ENTP, the task of just cleaning up their house, for example, not even the house, cleaning out the closet, that is gonna be like the worst thing ever. That is gonna be like, I don't really know that it's worth going on living if I have to do this. And part of it is that they just ignore it for so long. They're like, I don't even know how to do this. I think a lot of people, regardless of type, don't really love cleaning, but with these two types, they're like, I shouldn't even be responsible for that. Why do I need to know where I'm putting my underwear away? Look, I can find it at some point. Doesn't really matter. But the other side of that, having introverted sensing as an inferior function, is that because they are so intuitively moving on from thing to thing, a lot of times it's hard for them to just stop and actually do something productive in life. Introverted sensing is a lot about just the building blocks. We do this one thing, we do this next thing. Here's the line-by-line procedure of how we will get from point A to point B. And if these types are doing their extroverted intuition too much and feeling like they don't need to stop and do things bit by bit, one thing after the other, they're gonna find themselves in a place in life where they haven't done much. They haven't gotten very far towards all the intuitive goals they had. All right, let's move on to the IP types. These are some of my favorites, man. Let's go to the introverted thinkers first, ISTP and INTP. The other thinkers we talked about, the ESTJ, ENTJ, their problem was their own emotions. So the INTP and ISTP, their problem is other people's emotions, how other people feel. Oh crap. For these two types, they're like, I am responsible for making decisions based solely on what I think is logical. You know, other people's feelings, okay, they have them, but I'm not responsible for that. They can feel how they want to feel. Like, and if they don't like something, if this doesn't matter to them, I'm just gonna ignore it. I'm just gonna do what my brain is telling me to do. I think with the thinkers, their dark side is maybe a little bit more apparent, especially to feeler types, because it's like, okay, you're ignoring emotion, whether it's yours or someone else's. Yeah, that's not good. With these types, what happens then is they end up doing a bunch of stuff where other people are like offended by it. They're just doing their own thing. These two types are like, this is logical to me. What everyone else thinks, I don't know. I'm not paying attention to that. And everyone else is, we're gonna kill this guy. This is unacceptable. Like everyone else, this bad feeling fomenting, if you will. And the INTP and ISTP are so oblivious to it that it comes out of nowhere and shocks them at some point. Whereas people who are not dealing with this huge imbalance, the other types, they can sort of see, oh, these people are getting a little annoyed at what I'm doing. Maybe I should like see what they're feeling and kind of deal with that. These two types are like, no. Now the other side of that is extroverted feeling is a lot about really, let me also express how I feel. Let me talk about what matters to me. And the INTP and ISTP are gonna feel really awkward about that. They don't really like to talk about their emotions. It's a little different than when I was talking about the extroverted thinkers. They don't even like feeling the emotion or making decisions based on it. But for the ISTP and INTP, the bigger issue is talking about it and listening to other people talk about their emotions. I don't wanna do that. All right, and while we're here, let's stop again and see if YouTube would like to show another commercial. Wow, this video is so long, it gets 2 commercials. And if you didn't hit the thumbs up button the first time, hit it now. And if you hit it the first time, hit it 2 more times. Okay, then let's look at the INFP and ISFP, the introverted feelers. They're doing what the ISTP and INTP are doing, but they're doing it with logic. These two types, INFP and ISFP, are just doing what I feel is right. This is good to me. I like this. I'm following my heart. Everyone's telling me that this is not logical. Everyone else is telling me that I'm inconveniencing them by doing this. But I'm not gonna listen to that. Whatever. I'm following my heart. I'm out here catching butterflies or whatever, like on the 16 Personalities website. So everyone around these two types is like, you're being entirely illogical. What you're doing is dumb and stupid, and not just like judging them and being like, you are dumb and stupid, but like, we all agree that you are really causing issues by doing this, and we wish you'd kind of like listen to us and kind of participate a little bit in this conversation. Oh man, and the thing that they do so often where I'm like, please stop, is you'll give them advice. You'll say, I hear what you're saying. I hear your problem in life. Here's my advice. Here's my external logic. This is probably what will work for you. And they'll be like, okay, thanks. And then they'll ignore it. I mean, this is basically what I said in the video, what annoys me about each type. But the problem is, the darkness there is, they will have everyone giving them this advice. There could be 10 people giving them the same advice, and they still might go against it. And that will get them into trouble because they're like, yeah, everyone else is saying the same thing, which statistically would indicate that they are telling me something true, but you know what? I'm obligated not to go with that. I'm not responsible for what other people say is gonna work. I'm responsible to following my heart. So you can understand how that might cause some catastrophic things to happen. All right, let's move on to the IJ types, the introverted sensors, ISFJ, ISTJ. These types are very organized. These are the flip of the extroverted intuitives, right? Their problem is that they are so focused on getting things in the real world organized that they never really want to go outside of the box. Never get outside of that and think about new ideas, look at new concepts, or even make new meanings out of things. Now, these types of problems, it's somewhat similar to the extroverted sensors. They had a problem with suppressing intuition, so it was like they couldn't make sense of what was happening. In some ways, it's the same thing going on here, except it's extroverted intuition that these two types are suppressing. And so they don't like going for the new abstract concept, the new pattern. So they will see, this is happening factually, this is happening factually, this is how everything in my life is organized. But it's like they can't see the possibilities, all the possible things that could happen because of that. They don't necessarily see the connection between all of the different facts they have in front of them. And very much like the extroverted sensors, these types will be like, I didn't see why this happened. I didn't see the pattern. I didn't see the connection. I saw everything that happened. I saw it all lined up. I can tell you everything that happened from A to Z, but when it comes to me taking a guess as to why it all happened, I can't do that. And these types are also very slow to accept any kind of new abstract idea. Anything that seems a little bit out there, they'll be like, oh no, keep that away from me. They'll be way slower to embrace any kind of new idea like that because they're so far into the real world and the way they have organized it that if you come at them with like, this new concept explains a lot of what's going on with you, they'll be like, no, I'll just stick to what I know already. I'll just stick to the facts that I know and that I have right in front of me. And this explanation you've come in for how it's all connected, no thanks. All right, and last up, we have the INTJ and INFJ, and these types have a similar problem to the last types we talked about, except it's extroverted sensing that they are suppressing. And I have made a lot of videos about INFJs in particular, and so a lot of those videos circle around this idea of inferior extroverted sensing, which is basically like taking in new factual information, because the introverted intuitives are all about, let me see how everything is basically the same thing intuitively. Here's all the new info, here are all these things in the real world, and here's how it's basically all the same. It's basically all following the same pattern. All of these different scenarios I can kind of explain with the same word. Like I said in my last video about the strengths of these types, what they're doing all the time, these types are always trying to reduce everything. And it makes them closed off to what is happening, like what is actually happening concretely around them. And so because they have this tunnel vision, I guess you could say, sometimes they're just not aware of what is happening, and that can cause a lot of anxiety. All the IJs have this anxiety about sort of like, what are they missing, because their tunnel vision is so honed in on things. And for the introverted intuitives, it's like, I understand the pattern of what's happening here, and I can guess at what's going to happen next, but I don't even really know what is happening. I'm not sure what is going on. It's like, I know why, I just don't know what, which is strange, right? And they have that typical IJ problem where it's like, if I need to find an answer, I'll just go back to intuitively what I already have figured out, the pattern that I already see here, rather than looking to actually see what is obvious, what is right in front of me factually. The facts, whatever, I can take them, I can leave them. They don't matter as much as this conceptual idea I have of them. What can happen is the physical world will just come out of nowhere and like destroy their lives. It's funny, they'll be so intuitive, but then they'll get surprised by things happening in the real world because they were so focused in on the abstract world and ignoring what was happening in the real physical world, that things build up and happen before they have a chance to catch them. So for these two types, the world feels like a place that's just about to like explode at any minute. Everything's about to go wrong. Things are gonna erupt into chaos, because that's just how their mind works. I'm so focused on the abstract that the sensory just catches me off guard all the time. Thanks for watching. Watch another video right here or the whole playlist right here. Make sure you hit a button that looks like this, and until next time, stay cool and attractive.